Good morning. I received a request for information regarding the cost of living in the Philippines. They said that rather than hear it from other vloggers, they would rather hear it from me as to exactly what the cost of living is in the Philippines. So I'm going to talk about that, as this might be of some importance to a lot of people who are thinking of migrating to the Philippines, going back to the Philippines for retirement. Okay, so stay with me and I'll give you more details on it. Several viewers of mine requested that I put out a video regarding the cost of living in the Philippines. And I said, well, when I get back to the Philippines, maybe that is when I'm going to come up with a video like that. And as I was thinking more about it, it's going to take me a while when I get back to the Philippines for me to know all these things. But I said, there must be some published material about this, and that'll be interesting to me as well. I know it's cheaper to live in the Philippines, but we're in the Philippines. I know it's more expensive in Manila compared to others, but I don't know by how much. I also don't know how it compares to, say, New York, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and so forth and so on. So I figured I will do some research, and I'm going to give you, based on this research, the information that is best available. But keep in mind that this will all depend on your lifestyle, how you spend your time, and so forth and so on. And all this data is based on you renting, not you owning a property. So take a look at the breakdown, and if you see that the rent is a big influence or big factor and you're not going to rent, then just strike that out of the equation and just gut feel. Just use your gut feel as to what that is going to be without the rent. Okay? So here we go.
We are going to compare the cost of living in Manila compared to Quezon City, Makati, and Taguig. And there will be more cities we'll add on. Now we're going to use Manila as a base. For example, let's look at restaurant prices. If you're paying $1, that's 100%, in Manila, in Quezon City, you'll be paying 72 cents. In Makati, you'll be paying 85 cents, and in Taguig, you'll be spending 57 cents. So all these are relative to Manila. So if you take a look at this on consumer prices, the lowest one is Quezon City. On restaurant prices, the lowest one is in Taguig, which surprises me because I would imagine Quezon City will be the lowest one compared to Taguig. On groceries, 93% in Quezon City is the lowest. Rent, 53% in Quezon City. I wonder. Sometimes too, this is not necessarily probably comparable housing. Maybe that's a lower quality housing in Quezon City compared to Manila and Makati and Taguig. And look at Makati, which makes sense because Makati is so nice. You'll have to pay rent there that's 19% higher than Manila. Now, purchasing power, we're going to talk about that a little bit later, okay? There's a footnote there, and I'm going to explain what that purchasing power is all about. So now, let's take a look at Baguio. If you live in Baguio, the consumer price is about 87% of Manila. That means, what is that? 13% lower. Restaurant prices is 76% of Manila's price. Groceries, 90% of Manila's price. And look at rent. Rent is 29% of Manila. Again, I don't know what kind of housing that is, so they may not necessarily be comparable. And again, purchasing we'll discuss later. Let's look at Batangas. 88, 87, 96, 16%. That's probably a nipa hut in Batangas. So that's the comparables that you will see. Cagayan de Oro. 87% on consumer prices, 83%, 88%, 57% on rent. And last one is, no, that's not the last one. Cebu is 90%, 85%, 102% on groceries, 59% on rent, and I think this is the last one. Consumer prices is lowest in Davao. Restaurant prices is lowest in Davao. Groceries is 73% lowest in Davao. And rent, 41%. Only Batangas is lower by 16%. This one is 41% in Davao. And now let's proceed. What he's saying is, if you're making 120,000 pesos and you're comfortable in Manila, in Quezon City you will need to you will need to spend 87,000 and you will be able to live as comfortably as $120,000 money in Manila. In Makati, 124,000, which makes sense. Makati is an expensive place, so it's about about $4,000 higher than Manila. Taguig is a little bit cheaper than Manila. Baguio is not bad, 83,000. Batangas is 79,000. Cagayan de Oro is 93,000. Cebu is 97,000. And Davao is 72,000. So definitely Manila is expensive with the exception of Makati. Makati beats Manila by a small amount of about $5,000. Okay, so that's how much you will need to live as comfortably. I don't mean that you should make this money. I'm saying if you're spending this money, and keep in mind this includes rent. So look at footnote 2. Footnote 2, this calculation uses cost of living plus rent index to compare cost of living. So this assumes that you are renting, okay, that you don't own a condo or a single home, that this assumes that you are renting. And you can see that rent is probably a significant portion, with the exception of maybe Batangas, a significant portion of your spending. Now let's look at purchasing power. Now all this time we are looking at expenses and not looking at income. Okay, now purchasing takes into account income. Now read the footnote. Local purchasing power shows relative purchasing power in buying goods and services in a given city for the average salary in that city. So if the local purchasing power is 80%, this means that the inhabitants of that city will, with the average salary, can afford to buy on average 20% less goods and services in Manila residents with an average salary. So all the, with the exception of this line, purchasing power line, all the rest of the statistics compares only the cost and cost and cost. But take a look at Makati, for example. Okay, the purchasing power is 22% higher than Manila. Why is that? Although the expenses are higher compared to Manila in terms of groceries and rent, they make more money in Makati. The salary in Makati is higher compared to Manila and highest compared to any of the other cities. That is what purchasing power is. It takes into account how much you are making. So in Makati, you will be able to spend 22% more than if you were in Manila because your salary, we factor in the salary, is higher by about, well, a certain percentage because that purchasing power takes into account the offset, which is the expense. Okay? So you could go back to this chart and analyze it well. You can go ahead and pause the video and take a look at it and understand what the numbers represent. And keep in mind, we only use the 120,000 in Manila as a base. So if you're making only 60,000 pesos in Manila, that means half. That means in Quezon City, you will have to make about 43,000 pesos. Okay?
Okay, there you have it. As you can see, Manila is quite expensive, but in some ways, Makati and Taguig could be a little bit more expensive. Definitely Makati is more expensive. Manila is next. And of course, I went to the other big cities like Quezon City, Baguio, Davao, Cebu, Negros Occidental, and so forth and so on. But now what I'm going to show you will be how does Manila compare to New York City, San Francisco, and Philadelphia. So that's the first thing you need to know. And then once you decide, definitely Philippines is cheaper, then where in the Philippines am I gonna go? Which is what I just showed you, okay?
This chart will show you the cost of living indices in Manila compared to that of New York City in New York, San Francisco, California, which are the two most expensive cities in the United States, and also to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is fairly reasonable city in the United States. You will see that the consumer price index is 145% in New York City, a little bit lower in San Francisco, 120%, and of course only 104% in Philadelphia, again compared to Manila. Restaurant prices are double in Philadelphia, triple in New York City at 304%, and 269% in San Francisco. Groceries, most expensive, is almost double, 192% in New York City, 151% in San Francisco, and 146% in Philadelphia. Close to San Francisco, I guess. Now, rent is the one that's a big killer in terms of cost. It's about more than 4 times high in New York City compared to Manila, and about 5 times as high compared to San Francisco, and only 50% higher, about 148% in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, to maintain a $120,000, if you're living in 120,000 peso, lifestyle in Manila, you will have to make in New York City $395,000, San Francisco $400,000, almost the same, and Philadelphia is moderate, $260,000. That's like a little bit more than double that of Manila. So this gives you an idea compared to Manila's cost of living. These are the indices, and you have to remember, you don't have to make 120 or you don't have to spend 120,000. Let's say you're used to spending 50,000 pesos in the Philippines, or let's say 60. That means half of what you see here in Manila. Then you just cut the New York City index by 1/2. So you'll spend about, or you need about 200,000 pesos to be comparable to a 60,000 lifestyle in Manila, and so forth and so on. So hopefully this gives you an idea regarding the cost of living in Manila compared to that of New York, San Francisco, and Philadelphia.
Remember, there is more than one factor. You have to take into account your ability to accept the congestion in Manila. That's a detriment, but the benefit is you're closer to hospitals, good quality medical treatment if you have medical issues like me, and convenience to transportation, although the congestion is not convenient, and stuff like that. You have to consider all those rather than just the dollars and cents or pesos and cents, centavo. So there you have it, and I hope you like this video, and I hope it helps you in your immigration process to the Philippines. And if you like this video, please click like, share it, and do subscribe. I rely on that, and thank you so much for watching. I appreciate that from all my viewers. Until next.